Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 replay. This one's going to take place on Overgrowth. We have a Terran player Swift Crane spawning in the top right hand position, and in the bottom left we have this opponent Mr. Ghost. So this video is going to be a replay analysis. Swift Crane asked for some help. He was trying the Mass Raven build and he wanted my opinion on various things. So I'll be doing that for Swift Crane and at the same time putting out a video for you guys, because I think in looking at someone else's attempt, I may end up talking about things I would kind of just gloss over if I analyze my own replays. So Swift Crane being in Silver League, probably the one piece of advice you can give without even looking at the replay is going to be macro. Like spending the money you have, not getting supply blocked, and the most important piece of macro being constantly making workers. So let's just get this over with because it's the boring part, but also the most important. So we're going to go up to 8 times speed. You can see the command center right now is sitting idle. Idle. He queues up some more workers. A little bit of an overqueue, but that's okay. A little bit of idle time there again. Going well here. And once again, sitting idle. So unfortunately in Starcraft 2, like decision making and smart strategies and cool micro and battles isn't as important as just having tons of stuff, tons and tons of stuff. And you get tons of stuff by getting a big economy. Going idle some more, so we'll kind of stop it here. Let's go back to 8 minutes. At 8 minutes, I always look at the worker count, and typically I'm at like 34 workers, and my opponent is somewhere between 35 and 50, the Zerg player. And if we bring up the income tab here, we can see that Mr. Ghost is at 15. He did lose 3 workers, so he's actually at 18. But 18 workers is about half of what is possible. Because I'm at 34, and I don't play perfectly either, so probably 36 to 38 is possible if you play perfect. And this just means you can't be pumping out units like you would like to be. You would actually be surprised, like if you are in a lower league, probably how good of a player you actually are if you had the macro behind it. Because there's probably things that you can do better than, you know, Platinum, Diamond League players. You just don't know it because you don't have that giant economy pumping out so much stuff for you. Yeah, so we got that out of the way, right? Make workers, just keep making them, keep making them. I'll put a link in the description below, maybe even annotation over here. Let's see if I can actually get that set up. To a link from Halby. It's a very simple video to follow. It really breaks Starcraft down to just like basically just making Marines and workers and SCVs and depots, and it's a very simple way to practice, and it builds a skill of macroing in a very simple way. I think I said simple like 4 times, but you can check that out. It's a Marine drill. And now let's talk about the strategy, I guess, right? Build orders and strategy. We got the production tab again. So Swift Crane is going to be going for my 2 base variant, which I think is quite good in the lower leagues because it does get you like Ravens out on the field a lot earlier. So I would say lower leagues you're probably going to be facing more cheese, probably more low economy play. So building the depot at the same time he sends out the SCV, which is correct. Again, you should be waking workers during this time, but we won't talk about that anymore. I'm going for the Inch Bay block. Looks like the Overlord did spot this SCV, unfortunately, so you didn't get a lot on the Inch Bay block, but pretty good distraction. This could be why I wasn't making SCVs though, because he's distracting himself as well. Oops, oh well. And going for barracks. Okay, so this is a problem. This is actually probably a reason why there's a lot of workers missed as well. Because with only 1 supply depot down and this command center being so late, you're going to probably get supply blocked in 19. Well, maybe not because of the missed workers and that one that died, but typically you'll get supply blocked at 19. So what you actually want to do in terms of build order is, you build your depot and your Inch Bay, and while you're constantly making SCVs, And you make SCVs right up to 16, and then you place the command center down, and the barracks, and then the refinery, all on 16. Then you make your 17th worker, make the next Vespine geyser, and then make workers up to 19 and throw down the engineering bay as you can afford it. And that will time out everything really well. The command center, like when you hit 19 of 19, your barracks will be done so you can build your orbital command. Very soon afterwards, your command center finishes, and you'll have the 150 gas in the eng bay done just in time to turn it into a planetary. And even though you would think going barracks before command center is safer, it's in this instance it's actually not, because if you go command center first, you don't have to worry about this SCV getting picked off by initial Zerglings, and it gets your planetary fortress up faster. So, well, I guess I'll throw the build order in the description as well, at least the opener. So we'll continue on. Just a small thing, but try to line up your barracks with like the top of the depot here. That way you can shove your engineering bay like that. And when you float off the barracks to become part of your wrap, you can replace it with a single supply depot. The way it is now, a single supply depot will now create a solid seal once the barracks is lifted off. So as it appears, yeah, so this late command center did cause issues where he's not able to get it completed. Just because of the early handful of Zerglings. And if this early handful of Zerglings was a flood of Zerglings, then you'd actually have to cancel the command center and kind of be in horrible shape. Looks like Zerg's being aggressive himself. That explains the low worker count, I guess. Coming in with some Bailings. I'm not sure what the purpose of these Bailings are. To take out the bunker, I guess, but that's definitely good for the Terran. So Swiftgrain has a good response there. Trading 6 Bailings for a bunker is obviously good for Swiftgrain. And with the planetary there and the wall off at the top of the ramp, it's not too much of a concern. There are 5 Bailings hanging out and a lot of Zerglings coming across the field. Speed has finished. There's the transfer. Gotta be a little bit careful as Zerglings can actually fit through this, which is a little annoying. There's no corner hex on the command center. In terms of doing the wrap, I think it's always best to put the barracks up against the ramp. You want your tough structure there, and then maybe the bunker here. And that way, even if he breaks through the weak structure of the bunker, he still has to run around the barracks. And then running around the barracks, that just gives more time for the planetary to do work. And like I was saying, if the engineering bay was here, then you could wall off with a single supply depot and have the high ground wall off as well. Also a good idea to keep one of your Marines on the high ground. Not too much of a concern since you've seen so many Bailings, but you know, Nidus Worm is a thing, so it's nice to keep one Marine patrolling up here. And if somehow he does get Lings up to your wall, you can bring that one Marine over to kind of shoo them away. So factory going down. Swiftgrain has gotten up to his well, not quite to his 4 gases yet. If you're doing this 2-base variant, you really want to focus on getting your gas bank going as fast as possible. So as soon as you transfer SCVs to the low ground, you want to set up this, this wrap and close off this wall. But the other thing you really want to do right away is take your 3rd and 4th gas. Start working on that gas bank and only then throw down your factory and starport. And that'll allow you to get a good clump of like 12 Ravens out to take your 3rd around the 13-14 minute mark, or to throw on harassment while you take your 3rd. Because you're kind of just sitting on this little batch of static defense until those Ravens are out. So if you're not going to take a fast 3rd, it's good to get those Ravens out en masse for the mid game. The nice advantage of this 2-base variant too is the early Ravens are super. The auto makes the auto turrets way more powerful when the Zerglings are only like 0-0 or 1-1. It's not until Lings hit 2-2 and 3-3 that the auto turrets kind of lose their efficiency. Very interesting base placement. Looks like you might want to be putting on some spine pressure play or perhaps swarm hosts which would be really good for you, as you leave these bases wide open to counterattack, and then you can always send stuff over here when he goes back to defend. So just a little bit of everything from the Zerg player. We've got a handful of mutas now just poking around. Do have some missile turrets up. This turret placement's a little questionable. I like to do the ring, where I just kind of create like a wall, like basically straight across like this, covering everything, and hope that he doesn't fly by the wall. The other option is just to kind of put turrets in the midst of, like maybe like a turret here and a turret here. Something that can be repaired really easily in your middle line, and then turrets covering your production, and then turrets in your other base. So less of a wall off and more of, just protecting key places. This one's kind of off on its own. It's not easy to get to repair, and it doesn't really cover a good portion of the base. Looks like a giant bailing bust fail. So that was a big win for Swift Crane there. Units lost, so you can see the Zerg has lost 4,000 more. And the Zerg has basically stopped making workers. He hit 45 a long time ago. There's a little batch of workers though. Up to 51 now. A lot more Balins being produced. Looks like Swift Crane is floating out to take an alternate base. Don't think the Overlord saw it. I would say in lower leagues you can kind of pass over things on the minimap and there's a good chance they'll go unnoticed, but if you attack something, you'll almost certainly notice it. Wow. That did not go well. Not learning his lesson either. Is he going to go for a third attempt? Don't commit until you have enough Bailings. So starports are down. Corvid reactor is done. So really got to start on that Raven production now, and you got the gas bank for it. In fact, the perfect amount of resources. Some minerals and a ton of gas is exactly what you want for mass-producing Ravens. And here they come. A little bit of a supply block though, unfortunately. So this third base is going unnoticed, but the Zergs may even be going unnoticed too. Well, I guess this creep is a giveaway.
SCV ready.
So lucky for Swift Crane, it looks like this Zerg opponent hasn't really been doing much for a while. He's kind of taken like half a base here and failed a couple bust attempts, and that's all he's done for like the last 10 minutes, so that's good news. And now the Raven count is getting up there, where Ravens are going to start getting scary. Kind of a little splash of everything for the Zerg opponents. Even got some Overlords up here for bad rally reasons. Looks like he probably has enough to bust. Getting a depot like here would be sweet. I'm assuming you can see that creep tumor too. Yeah, you might want to pop these Marines out just to snipe that creep tumor and fall back. Swarm hosts are beginning. A little bit of auto turret harass up here. Oh wow, some good seekers. Gotta love when you target mutas and you hit roaches and drones at the same time. Sick units lost tab. Zerg has taken his fourth though at the gold, has not begun mining. But he's gone swarm hosts. I always say against swarm hosts, okay, don't put auto turrets in front of locusts. I guess you really wanted that queen, but against swarm hosts, this is the time to counterattack, because you'll probably be just spending his gas on more swarm hosts, which leaves him wide open to counterattack. Like if you flew like down towards a gold, And then across to the third, if you see nothing there, you can come here and just lay down auto turrets here and lay down auto turrets here. So you can do this, right? You can trade your Raven energy to kill off a Swarm host, but typically the Zerg is going to be sitting on more economy behind that. Like with this Raven build, you're not going to be doing well economically because you just don't have like the mules and the pressure on the Zerg to keep his economy down. So you really need to be cost efficient with Ravens, and just trading Raven energy for Swarm hosts kind of doesn't affect anyone's economy, and in the long term that helps the Zerg. So I think the best thing you should do when you see Swarm hosts, as tempting as it is, you know, because Ravens can detect them and kill them, it's actually better to go counterattack. So if you sent out those Ravens and like shut down the mining on these two bases, and then just, you know, your next couple batches of Ravens pop out, like with your next 8, you can send those next 8 over here to deal with that. I think that's always best. And assuming you have missile turrets here too, since you have this forward base and this forward base, you can actually just bring your Ravens to fall back to these planetaries. And it would protect you from Mutalisks. Luckily, it looks like you're actually ahead economically in this game, so trading Raven energy for Swarm Host is perfectly fine. Because I'm guessing he doesn't even know about your 2 other bases. No, he thinks he has you contained on 2 base. So I guess in this particular game it was actually perfectly fine to just go Seeker all the Swarm Hosts down. Oh, that planetary. Okay. The way I like to do it, as soon as I see Swarm Hosts, what you do is you take 8 SCVs, make sure auto repair is turned off, right click them, like get them flush against the command center on the far side, then hit hold position, then turn on auto repair. And that ensures that the SCVs are going to be hugging the command center, the planetary on auto repair, and they won't move away for any reason. And the reason you want auto repair off before you set that up is it's hard to get them held positioned against this planetary if, say, like this missile turret needs to get repaired, because they'll keep trying to run at that missile turret before you before the repair gets set up, or even if one SCV is missing some hit points. And that way you can kind of you set it up and you don't have to worry about it again. And just having 8 SCVs off of mineral mining is actually okay, because, you know, much like me, there's usually a giant mineral float that isn't that important. And if you can spend it on Hellbats and stuff, the Hellbats aren't that important in this matchup. It's more about the Ravens. And then just check in on it like every 30 seconds, a minute, just to make sure, because if the Swarm Host count keeps getting bigger, then you may have to add more SCVs to the repair line. But it looks like you're too busy with other things, trying to set up another base. Some more Seekers. A little scary here now, right? Because you don't even have the high ground wall off. He could come flooding in if he's got the army, but he doesn't. He kind of does, actually. This is optimistic. But the Raven Cloud is getting significant. We are up to a full page and then some. 26 Ravens. Some really good hits there. Forcing the Zerg to pull back. Yeah, I mean, this is a good way to get a giant Raven Cloud just sitting back at home and defending. But you have to be worried about the way Zerg economies can explode. In that they can kind of change all their production into droning whenever they choose. It's kind of like if you have the option to make SCVs out of all your barracks and starports. If you ever feel safe, you can just like explode your economy by putting all your production into making SCVs, and then you're way ahead. So this Zerg opponent is not doing that, but he could have, and that's why I like to put a lot more of my focus on harassing with Ravens. Which can be risky because you're flying away from your defenses and you could lose the Ravens and it might cost you a game that you could have won, but I think it's plus EV mostly. You get a positive expectation. Positive expected value out of it, I guess. Even if it goes wrong sometimes. It's a good thing he's not flooding in with a ton of Zerglings. That could be painful. And he's got some minerals for it. But again, this giant Raven cloud's looking super scary against a Zerg with basically no army on the field. I say basically no army, yeah. He's got a $3,000 army. Looks like he's getting the bad news about the alternate bases. Realize he probably should have been getting his own economy up rather than trying to break a planetary for 25 minutes. And yeah, that's a lot of energy on those Ravens too. This looks pretty unstoppable. And I would expect a GG any moment now. That looked like flat cannons, just random explosions everywhere. And there's a GG. So well played by Swift Crane. And yeah, that was a fun game. So in the description, I will be putting a link to Halby's Mineral Drill, which is like a good practice at various macro things, but most importantly, making workers. My opening build order for this. I'll put a link to my old TvZ build tutorial, which is the 2 base variants of this build. And I think the 2 base variant is the best build to use versus like in the lower leagues. Because I think it's probably the strongest against low economy play and probably the strongest against cheese sort of play because it gets your starports up faster and it gets you out of massive Ravens a lot earlier in the game at the expense of not having a fast third. And stay tuned because this week I'm also going to be bringing out an updated build tutorial which will be like my 3 base variants of Mass Ravens versus Zerg, which you kind of have to use once you hit higher leagues. As Zerg do have a strong economy, you gotta keep pace with, and just the meta game over the last couple of years has kind of steered more towards high economy since the maps have gotten a lot bigger. Yeah, so thank you once again to SwiftCrane for sending in this replay. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope SwiftCrane picked up maybe something to work on in his game, and I hope it wasn't embarrassing. You did win though, so that's a good thing, and you got to blow up a ton of stuff with seeker missiles, so nothing to feel bad about there. Oh man, a lot of Ravens. 24 and 12. 36 Ravens. Sweet. When the game ends though, what you have to do is you have to blow up all your own Ravens with seeker missile. That's actually part of the Ketroc build. Don't forget that. Also, if you know you're going to win, you have to blow up your own Ravens on top of his stuff and just showing how confident you are. And then find out he has another base and lose the game anyways. Yeah, so that's about all I have to say. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check the description for a thumbs up link, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.